Hello, this is TJ with the PTU Trend Jumper Trading Strategy at netpicks.com. With market volatility returning this time of year is when it usually happens, we're really excited about what we're seeing with the Trend Jumper. Many of our favorite day trade plans have broken out to new record profit levels. These are the same trade plans we've been using in our live trade room for 2 straight years now. And I thought I would walk through today's trades. Most of our favorite markets were finished with the very first trade, hitting explosive moves early on, one and done. It's our favorite way to finish a Friday session and roll into the weekend happy with new record equity highs. So I thought I would walk through a number of our favorite markets that we trade, show you how the Trend Jumper continues to work, and it is really loving the increase in volatility. Of course, the Trend Jumper has the uncanny ability of putting us in front of the big moves before they happen. And you'll see that over and over again. We've been seeing it for 2 straight years. We still see it, and we saw it today. The one thing I want you to pay attention to is that the strategy I'm going to show you is the exact same strategy on each market. It's the same everything. It's pretty amazing. We haven't really changed it in 2 straight years. It keeps working, mainly because it's based on pure price action. But let's get right into it, and I'll show you. We'll start with crude oil futures. This is the first futures market that we begin trading in our trade room. We start at 8:50 Eastern Standard Time, 10 minutes before the pit opens. As we're approaching the open today, we notice a setup, and let me get to it. See, all this pre-market action we're not interested in. I mean, sure, there's some good moves, but we just stick to our trade plan so that we can just be consistent and disciplined traders. Sometimes we're going to miss some nice moves, but it doesn't matter. There's going to be more nice moves in the market. And this trade plan has worked for so long. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We keep using it. Today we made record profit levels again after 2 straight years of this exact same trade plan. Notice this setup right here. You can tell we're going long because it's above the bar. The little plus sign is our entry. We're going to be going to the middle target. That middle target is dynamically adjusting. Actually, all the targets are based on the volatility of the market. And our stop is down here. Okay? But notice that we're a minute and 18 seconds in front of our start time. So we're waiting. We're not getting into this trade. If it comes back to our entry at our start time, then we can take that trade. And you can see on this bar here, this bar closes after our start time, and you can see that it did hit the entry. So we're getting long here, and it's pulling back right away. And that's pretty normal. We had a nice move up, and it wants to find a little bit of support before heading higher. This is the jump trade that gives the Trend Jumper its name. The whole idea is that it's like jumping off a trampoline. The Trend Jumper is looking for near-term support and resistance levels from which to jump off of. This green dotted line is the jump line, and it does a fantastic job of identifying where that near-term support is. So when we get this nice move up, the market's reacting a little bit, and it finds support right at the jump line, and then it starts pushing higher. There was another setup here, but we're already in this setup. So we ignore this one. Okay, we don't care about this one. We're already in this one. All right? So once it gets to that first target at 84.31, it's already moved 10 cents. That's a $100 move per contract. Okay? We're typically trading Trend Jumper with 2 contracts. The first contract we're going to exit at that middle target. The second contract we're going to trail the very same green dotted line, the jump line, which is also a fantastic trailing tool because it's showing us the near-term support and resistance. So we just hide behind it and ride it all the way up. But when we get to that first target, we're going to move our stop from here, and we're going to lock in a tick and take the risk off the trade. It's even going to cover the cost of the trade if it works against us and stops us out. That way we at least have our commission covered. Get that 1 tick. And that'll happen sometimes. So now that we're in a risk-free position, on the next bar it pops up and it hits the target. And so right here you can see it's already a winning trade because the trailer has 1 tick locked in. That's not going to lose. And the first part of the position got out at its target objective at 84.37. That's a 16-cent move at $10 per penny. That's $160. It's coming off. if you're trading this with the 2 contracts, right? You got your second contract with a guaranteed break-even situation, all right? So we don't care what happens at this point because it's just another trade in the trade plan. We know that we hit our goals, we hit our full target, we have a positive result today. No matter what the market wants to give us, this is our last trade of the day, okay? But sometimes the market has more in it. You can see how accurate the targeting is, that third target actually marking where there's some near-term resistance, right? You could have taken profit there too. That's certainly a variation to the theme. That's not how we do it, but you could have. Notice that when it came up and hit that second target, that's right where it got rejected, okay? That's the whole trampoline effect, the whole jump, the trend jumper jumping and grabbing that high percentage profit point. Okay, and the trend jumper knows how to calculate all that in real time, and it's adjusting to the volatility of the market. Okay, so that's why it keeps working. It has some of the key ingredients that a robust strategy has to have in order to be able to handle all different kinds of market conditions, and the trend jumper keeps doing that. All right, so look what happens. It keeps hiding behind the near-term support. And notice how the stop is pushing up. This is the professional version of trend jumper. If there's another version where we just follow the green dotted line, the professional version has some convenience tools where it actually plots the dots and tracks the trade for us. Okay? If we were trading the standard version, it would look like this. Basically, it would look exactly the same. I'll just turn it on and let you see the difference. The rules are the same. The trade's the same. You see the exact same trade. Even the lines on the target the same. All you do is trail the green dotted line. You could follow it visually like so, and it goes up, and with each bar that closes above, we just trail below. And the whole trade, of course, is in the data window. You can see it all right here in front of you. You see? The entire trade plan is laid out for us. There's other trades along the way, and if we knew in advance this was going to be an explosive move, we could be building our position, taking another position here, another position here. And advanced trend jumper traders learn how to do this, but it really isn't necessary. You're just riding your second position all the way up. Finally, it comes down and stops as it pushes below the green dotted line. That's a pretty strong move. That move was good for 68 cents. That's $680 with the single remaining contract. Add that to the 16 cents that this fixed target made, and you have a trade that made 84 cents. $840. So that's how we started our trading session today and how we ended our trading session for the week with crude oil. I want to just remind you that when we entered the market this morning, all we saw was the right edge of the chart. We didn't have the knowledge that we were going to make 16 cents or 68 cents, but we did know what our entire trade plan was going to be. The trade was planned, and all we had to do was execute the plan. Entry, target, stop, trade management rules that moves the stop, and then the ability to continue to manage the trade with a well thought out plan that continues to work, that pretty much grabbed us the lion's share of this move. And that's the predictive ability of the trend jumper, being able to put us in front of the explosive moves before they occur. If we would have kept trading, the next trade would have been a short. You see, the entire trade is right in front of us. You click on the bar, here's your trade. Entry, target, same plan, and it would have been a loser, okay? So you would have now had to take another trade. This is why we stick to our trade plan and use what we call the power of quitting. It's a dynamic goal-setting strategy that actually empowers us to quit trading so that we can keep our profits. We take what the market wants to give us and we move our accounts forward on most sessions. And like this, we continue to grow our accounts and hit new record profit levels on a steady basis. There were plenty of more profitable trades to be had. After that losing trade, there's a nice winner right here. We would have taken what we call the inside trade, the white trade. Okay, and we would have made a nice little move. But we don't need this. As we grow our account, rather than trading more, we just increase our position size and continue to trade less. Working smarter, not harder. Let's look at the exact same trade plan on today's Russell eMini trade. All right, with the Russell eMini, we trade a 1-point momentum bar, and we're just isolating one specific trend jumper setup on this market. We're not using the entire arsenal of setups, we found that the one setup with this particular chart just works fantastic. So it keeps things really simple. And we start right at 9:30. And here we are at 9:28, and you can see a trade is already triggered in. We're going to let that one go and wait for a fresh setup. Okay, just sticking to the rules of the trade plan that continues to work for us. Today was no different. We missed a nice move. In crude oil, we could have gotten in sync with the trade and we would have caught this move. And some Russell traders will take that trade and they would have done fine. There are many ways to trade the trend jumper. It's a very versatile strategy. Notice we only see 2 targets instead of 3. You could put the 3rd target on here, but to keep this really simple, we're going with the 2 targets. We move our stop at the first target. You can see how the stop moved from here down to here when that first target was reached. Half the position is taken off at the second target, and the rest of the position trails the jump line, just like crude oil. Okay, that one finally ends. Now we're waiting for our first trade of the day, and it comes here. It's a long trade this time. Notice that was a short trade. This is a long trade. The trend jumper is going to tell us when momentum has turned. Okay, and now momentum is up, and you can click on the bar. You got your entire trade, 1061.8 going to 1063.5. Gets to the money management level there. The stop moves to lock in the 1 tick, just like on crude oil. It's the same strategy. Hits the full target, exit half the position. Lots of strength on this move, and you could see the stop trailing the jump line up, up, up. Doesn't stop out here. Look at that stop perfectly placed. The stop continues to move up, up, even higher. Finally, it stops out right here at 1069.2. That runner was good for 74 ticks, 7.4 points, 17 ticks to the fixed target, 9.1 points, 91 ticks at $10 a tick. That's $910 on this one move. Record profit levels. The Russell has won all 5 of its sessions this week. In fact, it's won the last 16 sessions in a row. It's on a 3-week session winning streak, literally not posting a losing session since 17 sessions ago. September 18th, Thursday, September 18th was the last losing session on the Russell. And as a result, record profit levels. Also, if you want to follow along with the Russell on our blog, I'm actually tracking these trades, and you can catch a running tally. So the whole experiment is, if you were to start with a $5,000 trade account, you would only trade a single position of the fixed target. You would continue to track the second position, and we would take off $5 in commission and a half a tick of slippage on every trade and give a running net result each week. And if you want to track what's going on with this particular idea, you can go to our blog. I'll show you what it looks like. So here's the PTU Trend Jumper blog. You got the URL up here if you want to visit. And when you get to the blog, you can follow the storyline of the Trend Jumper over the last 2 years. There's articles dating all the way back to 2012. And you could look at just what we've been doing for 2 years. And if you want to click on this heading here, Running Russell Results, you can track what we're doing. There's a brief description of the trade plan we're following, starting with a $5,000 trade account, which is a very small account. I'd rather see someone start with $7,500 or even $10,000. But I want to show that it can be done with discipline if you're just following the trade plan. And so you can go ahead and read about the plan. And then on the 2nd of September, I started tracking it with $5,000, showing you the trades of the week per the plan, most of these being called in the live trade room, and then taking out the $10 per trade, and you can see where it made a profit the first week and the running balance, and then the following week and the following week, and so on and so forth, all the way to this week, where that $5,000 has already grown to $7,200 in about 5 weeks' time. So that's a pretty good growth for a single position. This is not including the trailer at all. And when we get to a certain level, basically when we get to $10,000, we will then add the trailing position. It's all explained up here. But anyway, it could be interesting. It's a good learning experience, by the way, just tracking a trade plan, remaining disciplined, and watching how the equity grows, even though inside of this history of trades, you're going to see losing trades. You can click on any of these and open it up, and you'll see the trades. And you'll notice that not every session's pretty. There's some losing sessions. And the one I told you on the 18th actually lost. But you'll notice also the week still ended up positive. See? And that's the thing you learn, is that it's the trade plan that makes money, and you have to get through some losses in order to get to the winners. And if you know you're going to grow your account from 5,000 to 7,200 in 5 weeks, that's over 40% growth after expenses. Can you trade through some losses? That's the thing. This is showing the two-position approach, so you have to just look at the first trade on each 2 line items. It's explained. But I would follow this if you're interested, and let me know what you think. I'll put this link on the post so that you have it. You can go right to it. All right, let's look at some more markets that we traded today. And I realize this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to go through this rather quickly, but you'll see it's the exact same trade plan that I've shown you already. This is the Dowi eMini. It starts at 8:32 Central Time, which is 9:32 Eastern. All my charts are always set to exchange time. So this is traded out of Chicago. So let's move over to 8:32, and you'll see the start. There's no setup here. We're just waiting. And there's a setup here that cancels. There's a short here that cancels. So the trend jumper is avoiding some market noise initially. There's a little long trade here, and then there's what we call the inside trade, the pink trade. Notice it sets up inside of the blue. That's the one we're interested in, the one that gets us in quicker. And so just like the crude oil, we're going to get out at the middle target. It's been dynamically adjusted to market conditions. In at 82, it jumps up to 94. That's 12 points, $5 a point, out with our first position, and then trailing the jump line all the way up like so, and then getting out at 16614, actually right in this area. And so a really great trade on the YM as well. That was actually 32 points on the runner plus the 12 points to the fixed target, 44 points, one and done, finish for the week on the Dowi eMini. Here's one of my favorite markets. Again, the exact same trade plan. This is soybeans. I love trading soybeans. I like a 5-point momentum bar. This trade plan continues to grow equity and hit new record profit levels. Today was no different. It was an interesting trade because it came one tick below the low of the day. But you know how a fourth time's a charm, right? It tried to get through 1, 2, 3. So the whole trade is laid out in front of you. We're not going to question it. Trend jumper has some sort of magical predictive ability, and it's not going to be right 100% of the time. It's just going to be right most of the time, and that's all we need to succeed. That puts the statistical edge on our side. Then it's just about smart money management and trade execution and being a smart, dedicated, disciplined trader. So the short's at 931. We're going for 2 points with the fixed target, and we're trailing the second position. You can optionally go to a third position. You see there's a further target down. Once you grow your account, you could add that third position. Okay, so this one does trigger in, and then it takes some heat, but the stop is well placed, the blue dots, and that holds. Okay, so maybe a fifth time's a charm because it took 5 and then it just blew right through. That's kind of what I was anticipating. There's a lot of clues on what the lines are telling us on this chart. That's all taught in the trend jumper training, but even in spite of all that, the whole trade's laid out in front of us. Hits the full target, you're out with one position, and then you're just trailing the jump line, and it comes all the way down. Gets us 1 tick more than the fixed target in this case. That's good for 4.25 points at $50 a point. You could just pretend that's the S&P. It trades exactly the same as far as $50 a point and $12.50 a tick. But soybeans is so much easier to prosper in and to steadily grow your account with. There's a lot of S&P traders just don't seem to realize that. So one and done. Record profit levels on soybean futures today to end the week. Fantastic. And incidentally, soybeans is on its own winning streak. It's won the last 10 sessions in a row, 2 straight weeks, winning every session. Last week it ended with over 16 points net, and this week it ended with over 20 points. And these trades happen rather quickly. This one set up right at 8:30 when we start, and notice it hit that first target just 11 minutes later. So if you want a really fast trade plan that can get you in and out of the markets quickly and steadily grow your account, the Trend Jumper Soybean Futures 5-point momentum bar, fantastic combination. Another market that's very popular, we trade it in the trade room, heating oil futures. It's not as well known to most traders, but for some Trend Jumper traders, their favorite market to trade. It's certainly the most explosive market. We start right at 9 a.m. Eastern, and there was a setup here at 8:53, and we had hoped to grab it, but it just got away from us. It had already went too far. You could see 2 seconds before our start time, it was already past that first target. We're not going to chase. Okay, we're going to remain disciplined, which is unfortunate because this one was a really amazing move. The reason you love heating oil is for moves like this. All right, so we're just waiting for our next setup. You can see the new Trend Jumper reversal trade setting up here in green. Apply that setup or not. It didn't trigger in. It ended up canceling, which was a good thing. The next setup was actually a long trade. So that's our first trade of the day, 19 minutes after the start time. And it triggers in, and it almost gets to its first target. See, so we're still waiting, but on the next bar it does. So now the stop is moving up, locking in a tick, taking the risk completely off the trade. The exact same trade plan I've shown you on every market so far. Nothing's different. It's above the bar. You're going long. The whole trade's laid out in front of you. You know what your plan is. It's the same I've been showing you. The stop holds, and it pushes up and hits the perfect target. Sometimes Trend Jumper is just too perfect. And then it pops down and stops out for only a few ticks on the trailer. But one and done. That's a full winner. One and done. That trade was good for 39 ticks at $4.20 a tick. You may have gathered my favorite day trading eMini market is by far the Russell eMini, but I know there are many S&P traders, and I wanted to show you the ES. You could use the Trend Jumper with the ES. It's definitely more difficult. You're trading against the likes of Goldman Sachs. You have to stand in line to get filled on your orders, but it does work. I like a 1974 tick chart. Okay, so right at 8:30 the market opens. That's Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern. Okay, and it's 8:23. You have a setup, and right at the open, it triggers in and goes short. So do we know if the market's going to go up or down? We really don't, but the Trend Jumper is giving us a short trade, telling us the odds are it's going to go down. And that's what we do as traders, is put the odds on our side. And it does go down. And it gets to its money management level, that fixed first target. And so the stop then moves down. It not only locks in, but it begins to trail the jump line. Okay, and it doesn't quite get all the way to its target. It turns around and stops out for a partial profit. And that's not bad. It's over 2 points. Okay, but we want a full target winner with our trade plans. We want to get to that full target to quit, to hit our goal. All right, so then there's a long trade. All of a sudden the momentum is shifted long, finally triggers in, and it zooms to its target. Notice it's a smaller trade. Market conditions change bar after bar, but it still is good for another 2 points. So here you got two and a quarter points on 2 positions on a partial profit, right? So that's 4.5 points. Still trying to hit our goal for the day, which is dynamic, right? It's dynamically adjusted to what the market wants to give us, and we didn't hit our full target, so we have to keep trading. So we hit the goal here for another 2 points. We're up to 6.5 points, and we still have a position trailing the green dotted line at a risk-free position, right? Because the stop moves from here, locks in a tick, and it trails, and it gets up to here. Basically stops out at 19.24 3/4. So another 5.5 points. So over 11 points on the S&P today with the exact same trade plan. How about the NASDAQ? How about the NQ, another popular market? Needless to say, the NQ could be an explosive market. I like a 610 tick chart on this one. Certainly there are other time frames you could look at. All things being equal, we'll look to start right at 8:30 Central Standard Time, right? And there's a setup here at 8:28, so you're just waiting, and there it is at 8:30. You can still take this setup here. It has not gone too far, so we'll just mark it with an arrow. The other setups have gone too far, and you can see it comes down, hits the first target. Because this is an additional setup, we just have to know we're going to move our stop down. And actually, as I look closer, it actually looks like that was the trade. Let's look at it one more time. This setup here was at 8:22. What you learn is you take the closest trade as long as it hasn't gone too far. And if it hasn't hit the first target, then it hasn't gone too far. Okay, so when the market opens here at 8:30, it's actually above this entry. And then it stabs up and actually hits this entry. All right, so you have to look carefully sometimes when the market's just opening. So that's actually where the setup is, okay? Not this one. So anyway, 39.40 and a half. Doesn't matter. They're all good setups. Hits the money management. This is why the calculator that puts the dots on the chart is actually tracking it. Notice that it moves the stop down, locks in the tick based on this setup. So the calculator knew this already. And it comes down and hits that target for a full winner and trails it a little lower all the way down to here. And you can see the NASDAQ eMini was also one and done today. The exact same trade plan. You've pretty much learned 85% of the trend jumper just from this video alone. There are so many other great markets you could trade, certainly Forex, certainly stocks, some great stock charts where you can trade options using these setups to tell you where the strike prices and targets are. Trend jumper is super versatile. It works on so many different markets and time frames. But this video has gone long enough, so I think you get the point. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our blog at ptutrendjumper.com for the big story of the trend jumper, and you can follow along our running tally of the Russell eMini, which is a great experiment and a great lesson for everybody who's trying to become a disciplined trader with ongoing long-term success. That's what it's all about. And I'll see you on the next video. This is TJ with the PTU Trend Jumper. Have a nice weekend.